Hey guys, it's Kelly. Hey, I got another page done on my mini art journal and thought it turned out pretty cute and thought I would share it with you guys. Hope you like it. So I wound up just starting with a embossing folder from the September Simon Says stamp card kit, and it was a great one. I love getting their card kits, a lot of value in it. And there was a beautiful, beautiful embossing folder in there, and it's a 3D embossing folder. And it's kind of hard to see in the video because I've got such a glare on my paper, but by the time I get it all inked up, you can see how the magic happens. So, and embossing folders, a lot of people only use them for their cards, but these are great for art journal pages. They really help kind of fill in your background. And sometimes when you're looking at a blank page for art journaling, it's kind of hard to get started. This is a really easy way to get started and really get a whole lot of interest in the background. So use your embossing folders that you get in your card kits. You can buy them individually. And it's a pretty cheap, they got a pretty good price point, so it's a great thing to have in your stash. If you're not using them, I definitely recommend them. So this was in my stash from one of the card kits, again from September, and I really, really loved how that one turned out. There is a glare on there, sorry, it's probably my video. I'll be working on getting a better camera here soon. But I just inked it up with some vintage photo and some scattered straw. I'm kind of on a binge with that ink combination. It's an autumn thing. I don't know. Every time the fall comes around, I start wanting a little bit more vintage color, like some oranges, and you know how the leaves change. I live in Arizona. The only color we have is brown. But yeah, I grew up in Chicago, so I remember what all that looked like. So yeah, I'm adding a little bit more on the outsides, just kind of frame it in. I'm using vintage photo. I like to use vintage photo walnut stain, and then I frame it in usually with some black soot. That's the usual process that I have. And I'm just making sure it's good and dry. Wasn't sure what I was going to do on top of it, but I knew that I was going to add some focal points and do some fussy cutting. So this is from a different card kit, from a Simon Says card kit. Beautiful, beautiful paper, and I decided to just make my own custom ephemera from the paper pack that came in this one. I don't remember which month this was, but this was a beautiful, beautiful kit. I really, really loved it. And there was so much use that I got out of just fussy cutting all those cute little images and flowers. So, and I always get this inspiration, or often I should say I get this inspiration from Vicky Papineau. I'm not sure if I said her name right, but I love her style. She has beautiful, beautiful art journaling. I'll try and make sure I give her a link in here. I usually give her a shout out because she's my muse, man. When I want some inspiration for art journaling, I check out her channel, and she's got her own design line now, and she's doing just beautiful, beautiful things. So she's definitely a go-to for me for inspiration. And I did get some of the inspiration for this from her and how she used this card kit. She's a designer, I believe, for Simon Says stamps. So I cut all those little things out, and I made a little cluster. And I just used a circle die. It's a stitch circle die that I bought off of Amazon. I'll make sure and get that link in the description bar below. And just a nested circle die that I had. So I already had one cut out, so I just took that out of my stash and used it, and just decided to kind of play around with all the pieces and find out where I wanted them to be. So it took a little bit of time. I fuss over that. I fuss and fuss and fuss over where to put things. And you know what? I just slap it down. I spend too much time worried about that. So there's some that are popped up a little bit. There's some dimension in there, here and there, and you'll see that as we go. But there's really no wrong way to do this, like I always tell you guys. And if you're new to it and you're a little intimidated, just start cutting things out of designer paper. Make your own little custom ephemera, and you'll wind up creating something beautiful. Just create a cluster. If you don't like it, just glue it down with one little piece of glue, one little dot of glue, so that you've got a way to stick things underneath it. If you just slap a whole bunch of glue on there and squeeze it all down there, you're going to limit yourself because you won't have a way to tuck things in behind it. So, and then I had a stamp set. It says keep it simple. I always like to give myself that little reminder. I want to remind you guys too, everything that you create doesn't have to be the perfect end-all be-all masterpiece. Just do it for you, and it's just great therapy, like I always say. So, and I just like a little bit of dimension in my mini art journals. I got to be careful not to do too much because then my books get too big and I can't even close them. But It doesn't matter because they sit in my craft room and I just look at them for inspiration for the next one. Some of them I write on, and that's the private piece of it. You know, if I decide to do that, or if I decide to add pages in my art journal, then that would be like my private thing that I do. Yeah, again, no rules. You do what you want to do. And I really liked how that looked, but it wasn't blending together. It looked like it was just floating there and had no intention. I don't know, it just looked incomplete. So I decided to use some vellum and use the circle die again with the nested dies that I have. And it's stitched, so I just cut a circle out of vellum and it added just the little extra that I needed around the edges. And I'll tell you that is a technique that I learned from Vicky Papineau. Again, I don't know if I'm saying her name right. I love and respect her to death. I want to make sure I do that right, but I'll put her link down below. But she uses vellum a lot when she has that feeling too of it just looks a little incomplete or like it's floating there. It seems to make it a little bit more cohesive when you add vellum behind it. I kind of, at least that's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments if you think that vellum helped or if I could have just got away with not putting it on there at all. So, and I fussy cut everything on here except for the circles. I fussy cut the sentiment and then the black, how I just have it matted with the black behind it. Just fussy cut all that. And then that's a little butterfly. Again, I just fussy cut that out of the paper, the designer paper, and made my own ephemera. And it wound up working out pretty cool. And then I wound up just putting in my book. Sometimes I leave this in there just because it's a quick flip through. Sometimes you might see a page and go, oh my gosh, that's cute. And maybe you want to try that technique that you see in there. So sometimes I keep this in my videos. Sometimes I take it out. But this time I decided to keep it in there. And again, there's no special way to create this. You just glue it right down. Now I could use the paper that's in my art journal and just put a design directly on that, but I just find that it's easier with all the stuff that I like to do to just cut a paper to size and then I just glue it on it. So it's just part of the platform. You know, it's like the foundation. And that works for me. So there's no, you don't have to get too fancy with it, but I feel like if I do it on the actual journal, then it kind of limits me. If I make a mistake, then I have to put a whole new signature in there. So there's nothing wrong with doing this. It works for me, and maybe it'll work for you guys too. So there it is, and that's a close-up picture. I hope you guys like it, and I hope you found yourself inspired. Don't forget to use the fussy cutting. Some people like it, some people don't. Get a good pair of scissors. I'll link up a good pair of scissors that I use below. And don't forget to like, comment, and share, and I've got lots more to come. Thank you so much, guys, for watching.